of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Jim Strawhorn, would you please read us the mission statement?
The mission of this club shall be to advance the principles and purposes of the Republican Party, to elect Republican candidates to public office, to strengthen the civic welfare of our community, and to engage in a vigorous exchange of ideas supporting Republican values.
Thank you. Roll call. Jimmy.
Okay, Daniel Mayo, President.
Here.
David Abraham, First Vice President. Kathy Lally, Second Vice President. Zitzel Levy, Third Vice President. David Kemp, Recording Secretary. Isaiah Vega, Corresponding Secretary. He's here. Okay, Carol Crone, Financial Secretary. Arkadiusz Tomaszewski, Treasurer. James Schwartzman, Sergeant at Arms, Present. Martha Rowan, Chairman of the Board. Stephen Weiner. Jim Strawhorn.
Here.
Martha Rowan. Philip Grillo. Stan Norwood. Ruben Dario Cruz.
Present.
Joel Solomon. Catherine Donnelly. Craig Tyson. Vic Starsky. Phil McManus. Juan Pagan. Zilly Chow. Gerard Lolly. Emily Zhang.
Thank you very much there. Unfortunately, we don't have the minutes prepared, so we won't have the read the April 17th minutes tonight. We're going to have it at the next meeting in May. Okay. In June, sorry. In June 19th. Our financial secretary right now just got married. It's in Poland, so let me at least tell you how much we have in our bank currently. We have $4,759 30 cents and 49 paying members. Okay, next, let's move on down to some reports there. I guess Isaiah Vega, would you like to talk about Isaiah? No, that's out. Okay. Let me go to another announcement there. We have, I think we announced at the last meeting on June 16th, 3 Yankee tickets, okay, against the LA Angels. So if anyone is interested, let me know. Again, that's June 16th, okay, evening game, okay. If interested in going to the Angels game. There's a couple more to see announcements, but before we see, anyone want to make some announcements there before we move on to the meeting?
I do.
Jim, go ahead.
The PBS, whatever it's, I don't know what the official title is, the Memorial Day concert from Washington, D.C. Is a great presentation with music and especially stories from fallen heroes, read by actors who read them very well. It's really worth watching. I recommend it highly. That was it.
Okay, thanks. And I guess Mario would like to say something about, we sort of talked about last time, the climate movie. Yeah? You want to say a few words?
Yeah, sure. My name's Mario. There is a movie that we should all watch, and if you haven't watched it, why not? It's called The Great Global Warming Swindle. It was on BBC TV in 2007. I discovered this about 5 years ago on YouTube, and it gives you the science, the real, original discoveries in science about this global warming stuff, and where did it come from, this term, global warming, and all the politics around it. So, The Great Global Warming Swindle, and you should watch it for free on YouTube. This is why I don't know, I didn't speak to him, but this is one of the reasons I think Trump pulled out of the Accords, because there's this exaggeration about the whole thing about it. You will see in the movie Margaret Thatcher. She's the first politician to use global warming in the 80s for her advantage. It's a little bit later in the movie. The first 25 minutes, you'll have the whole science of what real global warming is. okay? It's all wrong. It's all wrong what they're feeding us. It's exaggerated. There is something we're doing, but it's 3% in the pie chart, okay? Not the other way around. This is really, really important if you're gonna be a Republican and you're gonna stand by this and support the decision about this. This is not like, oh, just some guy told me to watch a movie. Watch the movie. And then just get it under your belt and that's it. You can speak from knowledge. I'm here confident that you watch this movie, you're gonna say thank you. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mario. Now, some of the people that are supposed to make some announcements have not yet come, so we're going to continue with the program there. Anyone else want to make some announcements before we start talking, introduce the candidates?
I'll make one, Danny.
Okay?
I'll make one. Only because this club's in the district. I did make the ballot as a Republican for City Council against Person. So I'll be running hard and doing what I gotta do. Just a quick little story, it's all about the Assembly District, right? I was told once a long time ago, when running for office, it's not gonna happen in the first year, but it's always about the Assembly District. We're in Assembly District 28. So originally I told everybody I was running in the 30th because I had to campaign in Middle Village in Glendale to keep my name in everybody's mouth, but secretly I was always campaigning in the 29th. So again, it's all about the Assembly District, which I'll probably run against Hevesy next year again. But I'm on the ballot and I'm trying to get signatures for the independent line. But yeah, so I'll be representing you in November and just get everyone out to vote. And that's it. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Isaiah Vega, you want to make the announcement?
Good evening, everyone. Pleasure always to be here. I've been asked by Danny to say a few words in regards to my helping of candidates. Last month, I was presented with an award for my dedication to helping candidates, and well, I'm honored to be asked to, speak on my experiences and talk about, running for office and why I continue to help people. Now, maybe some people know this, maybe some people don't, but many years ago, my family and I were homeless. And, life really has a way of beating you down and making you feel like, you're alone a lot of the time. And, in those times, in those very hard, desperate times, I realized that we weren't alone. There were people helping me. There were people helping my family. And, sort of a reminder that, in those hard times, there's always going to be someone that will help you, if you choose to accept it. And, I'm not saying that running for office is as bad as being homeless, but, in many ways, running for office is not easy. There are many times where you find yourself alone, where you find yourself, asking yourself, how did I get here? Why am I doing this? And, it's hard because I was in that position myself 2 years ago, asking myself, why am I doing this? Why am I running really? So, I did have help, thankfully, but, even with the help I've gotten, I found that myself saying, I'm better off helping other people rather than helping myself, because you can only do so much for yourself. You can run your own campaign, you can make all the phone calls, do all the doors, but at the end of the day, two is better than one, and oftentimes I found myself as the sole individual, doing what I had to do in my district. And, that's an area of Cypress Hills, where it's so heavily disengaged from politics. And so, this year was very monumental. I got a candidate on the ballot in District 21, Corona Elmhurst. Giovanni Franco, who's not here tonight, but, has spoken to the club before, and that's probably one of my greatest achievements. Gonzalo Duran, who is the Republican public advocate candidate, the way that worked was just like a whole slew of things behind the door, behind, closed doors. And even then, I was there with him, like, thinking, okay, here's how we're gonna do this. And eventually, he was running for mayor, then he got the public advocate. It was absolutely incredible. And, there's plenty of people in this room that I've helped in some capacity. I know, John, I've helped you a little bit here and there. Not trying to brag, but, you know, Rinaldi, you're always calling me for something, you know, asking questions, which is always nice.
You never called me though, but it's
Okay, but you know, you're right. Andy, you know, good friend of mine, it was a pleasure helping you, even though things didn't work out necessarily as they had to, but, you know, for the people that are here tonight and the people that aren't here, you know, it's always a blessing to help them in any capacity that I can, because really, you know, I know what it's like, you know, to be there alone and, you know, wondering why are we still doing this. But the reason why we're still doing this is because, you know, people run for office because they feel the need to see change. And with what's all going on in New York right now, it's a terrible situation. In my neighborhood, 2 people died on Mother's Day. One was stabbed to death, one was ran over by a train. And, you know, Ruben here was telling me that, you know, a kid was shot, you know, walking by the pot shop over in, you know, Richmond Hill. Like, you know, there's a lot of chaos, and they try to tell you, you know, oh, it's fine, nothing's happening, you know, just ignore it. And, you know, we can't ignore it. And for every candidate that comes up and, you know, says, I want to run for office, you know, there's a reason probably why they want to run for office, because, you know, people are telling you, oh, everything's fine, just be, you know, move on with your day, be happy. And it's like, no, it's not fine. And so, you know, with that in mind, I exist to, you know, help candidates get where they have to go and help them in even the most minuscule things, and, you know, just to make sure that they're not, you know, alone, and that they shouldn't feel alone, you know, because everyone deserves a little help. And in my times of need, there were people there to help me, and, you know, I want to be there for candidates in their time of need. So thank you for letting me speak, Danny. It was a pleasure.
I have something to
It was
say.
a pleasure working with you, Danny, but yes.
I think we should get a person like you be in charge of like recruiting people to help in the campaigns. You're very good at it. You got a good disposition, because the candidates here, they break their chops running, and they do it individually, and the Democrats always seem to get helpers like crazy. You know, volunteers, college kids, whatever it is. That's going to be, I think that'll be our main goal, is to start recruiting not just candidates, to get people to help the candidates. We've got to get a lot of people to help.
I nominate you.
I'm too old and I'm sick of to do it.
No excuses.
You know, I say everyone has a small part to play, you know, even making phone calls, even texting people, things as simple as that. And, you know, I'm proud to say that I learned from one of the best, Danny. Danny taught me a lot of what I know. And, you know, of course, I learned from many different people, some in this room, some out of this room. But I'm happy to pass on my knowledge, which I have done this year a lot, you know, to other people, because it's very important that we, as a party, know how to combat the Democrats in every facet, whether that be in the BOE, challenging petitions, or out on the streets, challenging, you know, people in the race. So again, thank you for the opportunity. It's truly a blessing to be here, and it's a blessing to, you know, continue to do this. And I hope that we can still do this for many years to come, and, you know, not only inspire change in people, but bring change to our city.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other announcements before we start introducing our candidates? And for those people who are making announcements, when they come in later, we will turn the mic over to them at the time. Okay, seeing none, may I have the candidates please come up? Joseph Foley, John Patrick Healy, please come up. Jonathan Rinaldi. Yay! And of course, Wayne Chang. Would you please come up? The others are going to come in a little bit later. Just sit anywhere you like. I'll have you just introduce yourself, and you can say whatever you like. Okay? I guess John, since you're going to be your first on the table.
Good evening, everyone. John Patrick Healy. I am running in District 26. That is Long Island City, Woodside, Sunnyside, parts of Woodside, Sunnyside, and parts of Astoria. This is my first campaign. I've been now involved in the party only a little bit over a year now, and I'm trying to really recruit, coming off last year's elections, someone to run for that district in that area. The incumbent, Julie Wan, has really neglected many areas on that district, particularly the Northeast and northwest sides and all the public housing areas. And even in her own area, when I was getting petitions for the Republican line, there were a lot of people asking what I was doing, who was I running against. I would bring up her name. They were like, let me sign that. I'd ask them what party they're affiliated with. Some were Democrats, some were just independent, some were had never voted before, but wanted to. They want change. We have now, issues are just growing really in City Hall. Particularly in the area I'm running in, there's a lot of these trailers and these RVs, and they're in the industrial areas. Now they're encroaching on the residential areas. And in them, you know, we were there today earlier with Curtis Lewa. He came by and they saw us in suits, and they all came out of their trailers through the back, through the side, looking to see what they're doing. Some just abandoned them. You could imagine what's inside. You could see like some material on the outsides of them. What they do is they're cooking. It could be meth. I don't know what it can be. It's definitely not food. They go into, this is property of the DOT, I know, the light poles, and they break out the fuses from, I don't know, they splice it to take electricity. Con Ed's across the street, and you know, they say that's not our business. That's got to take that up to the DOT, because the light poles belong to the DOT. The cops don't do anything about it, even though now it's happening now in the residential areas, because there's no room in industrial parts. And it's a sewage problem. This is a quality of life issue, because the sewage, they have their sewage running on the streets now. And there's a stream not far from there. There's like a waterway over by the Kawasaki Bridge, I believe that's what it is, over there by the BQE. And there's a lot of gang activity there. They've been going into private properties not far from where these trailers are. And you see the people that are coming in, they're definitely not citizens. They're not. They don't speak English. Many of them are migrants. And they really, I don't know if what the issues are, or like what's being done about it, but the local politicians aren't doing anything about it. I've been going to a lot of the HOAs, to the civic groups, people talking about this, and asking the cops, and the cops are saying there's nothing they can do about it. What they do is also, so they can't get towed, people call it tows, they take out the tires, so you can't tow these things away. So these are some of the issues that are going on. Of course, you know, there's the 7 line that runs in that district, and there are 7 stops in that line, and no one's paying their tolls anymore. It's not even an issue about them not paying their tolls and the taxes now that over, you know, burdensome taxes that are going on the citizens of this country that live in this city, but it's also a crime on the subways. And a lot of people are scared and nervous, the most vulnerable, the elderly, the young, the elderly especially, the illegal pot shots, the legal vendors all across Roosevelt Avenue and Queens Boulevard. And that's, you know, some of these are happening in school districts, like school areas, just down the block, and you have a pot shop, a legal pot shop, like a block away, sometimes even on the same block as them. So my, I guess, decision to run was that there was really no one running in opposition to the incumbent. And I'm gonna give it my best, and I wanna really be a voice for the people, be representation for the people. And working with the other candidates, I know in District 25, Rams is Frias, and he's over the next one. District 30, where Jonathan was gonna be running, Alicia Vaichunas is running, and I'd like to bring Jonathan into the fold too. I know he's running District 28, I believe it is, and we need all of us to get together, work together, come up with a strategy on how we're gonna do this, and kind of our message to the people and getting out there to the people. I know not just in other ways, you know, through social media, but also having events and pop-ups and, you know, where the people are going to be at, and especially in the weekends. I plan on doing it. Yes.
How long has the trailers been there?
So, since I think they started getting lax with the rules,
Right.
since around COVID.
Okay.
Maybe just a little before, but it's really blown up. Where it's become an issue has been the last few years, and now they're growing. So what it was last year, it's twofold now.
So they removed the guys from Randall's Island If you mentioned that the Reynolds Island campus gone, so that might be the added on to that.
Yeah, well, I think now that they're coming into the residential areas, that people are now making noise about it, and yeah. So, yes.
There's some in my neighborhood, but some of these are drivable and some are trailer types.
Mhm.
But all of these things should have plates. They don't have plates. There's sanitation and DOT should be able to fit them up. And nobody can defecate on the street.
Mhm.
That's the Board of Health. Yeah.
Yeah, there's many city
And they're
agencies.
homeless and they're trying to struggle, but they're also not doing the right thing.
The people we saw today didn't seem, I mean, I guess, yeah, technically they're homeless, but they're getting support some way.
Yeah.
Because they're not like downtrodden and, you know, I mean, some of them, obviously when you look at them, yeah, you would think they're home, but I think it's more of a thing they're like on drugs. I mean, they look cracked out, some of the people. Other ones didn't look fine. And they had some business or whatever they were doing, and they didn't want, you know, like they just abandoned the trailers in case someone went in there, in case we were gonna go in there and found anything, they're not in there, but. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Jim?
Do you have a website and an email address?
I do have an email address. I do have a card I can give to people. My website's not up yet. No. Sorry. I know.
Will be?
Will be, yes.
Email address?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting to speak tonight. I didn't know.
Gotta be good.
Yeah, I know.
Gotta be a Boy
I know.
Scout.
I know. I'm just exhausted and long day. But I'm glad I'm here. And yeah, any other questions?
I'm sure there's going to be more later. I guess Jonathan needs to leave soon, so I guess Jonathan, you want to speak since you say you're going to be leaving at 8 o'clock?
Sure. What do you want me to
Thank you.
say?
What are you?
Yeah, so I think some of the important things about running for office is less government, right? I think just as anybody that lives and works in the city, right, we all have an increase in cost of living. You know, one of the things that I'm really advocating for is free public transportation. I don't think we should be paying for the buses. I don't think we should be paying for the trains. I think the MTA needs to be overhauled. I even think the Department of Education needs to be overhauled. I think there's just an insane amount of waste of money. And one of the things that I was just talking to DJ Elf outside, even about public housing. You know, one of the things we have to understand is that our energy cost of living is going to skyrocket because through the city of Yes, they are trying to convert us all to electric. I'm 100% for flex fuel. I'm 100% for different modes of electricity production, not just wind, not just solar, but we should have geothermal. I mean, we live right here by the Hudson River. I mean, we should be able to harness the power of the river as well. You know, public housing is about home ownership. I mean, a lot of us, Isaiah, you were talking about, a lot of us go through hard times. And what they're trying to do now on the poorest of all of us is take away the ability to have any home ownership in some public assistance. They're eliminating Section 9, which is a means to live and be able to raise a family and pass the apartment down to generations. But the trick here is that they're going to transfer us all of the public housing onto Section 8, which means that now we're going to have to pay for the energy bills and the cost of the infrastructure because the city's bankrupt and they are going to pass the cost of the infrastructure over to all of the homeowners and to the renters. So we have to really be mindful of those things, and it's about really educating the community and saying the things that we need to say. So those are kind of the things that I'm running on mostly, just to make sure that we can all just live and survive. And the past year or so, with the immigration issue, has taught us is that if the city has enough money to help everybody from all over the world, then we should be able to get a little bit of relief as well. We shouldn't be able to pay tolls to drive to work in Manhattan, which is a $400 a month tax increase. The governor came out the other day and wants to give $400 back, but that's really just a 1 month reprieve of the 11 month that they just raised all of the taxes on all of us. So we have to stay on top of these things, and we gotta keep energy for free, public transportation for free, so that we can actually survive, work, make money, raise our kids, and get the government out of our homes, out of our pockets, out of everything possible. And that's pretty much it.
Sir? Question?
Yes. Go ahead, bro.
How can you get up there and say the city is bankrupt when they're spending money like crazy here? They must have the money somewhere.
See, the thing is that, yeah, they just put tolls. They just put tolls in Manhattan. Do you understand? So, yeah, they're bankrupt because, again, you gotta understand, like, it's nuance, right? We have to be smart. Why is the city bankrupt? Because I went to City College up in Harlem, so I know Cloward and Pitt. It's a strategy to overload the welfare system, to crash the budget, so that they can bring us into the Chinese social credit system, into control, into the real ID, into the vaccine passports. That's the vehicle to which they're bringing us over. So they're bankrupting us on purpose, and by increasing the cost of living, listen, everybody's in the supermarkets, everybody knows things are expensive, eggs are expensive. Do you think that all the trucks bringing produce from Jersey, from upstate, that are gonna pay that extra toll, is gonna be passed on to us? So things are gonna keep going up and up and up. And with the city of Yes, remember that they just passed, that entirety is based on the local law 97. They want us carbon neutral. They don't want us driving cars. By 2035, we're supposed to be all electric. There is no plan for infrastructure. There's no increase in schools, no fire department, no police department, no hospitals, nothing. The only thing that they want to do is make us all change from gas to electric, and it's all going to be on the cost of our backs. So it's bankrupt, and the only way they're going to get out of it is to tax us into oblivion, and that's what's coming next. So that's what we have to be aware of. Jim, you have some?
Website, email address.
It's jdrfornyc.com. I mean, you can look me up, Instagram, all that stuff. You know, I like to post stuff.
FOR?
FOR, yeah, NYC.
For NYC.
Yes. You got some?
I was going to ask you, how do you expect,
Yeah, that's just because we're taking it.
how do you expect to finance free transportation?
We already pay taxes, right? So it's like if you have a co-op and you're paying maintenance, it goes to the upkeep of the building and for all of the services that are provided. The MTA, the Board of Education, is so much waste that's being spent, right? If we're gonna live in a society that's supposed to be utopian and forward and all that stuff, then those are the things that we need to be part of that society. So how do we finance it? Listen, there are ways to cut the spending and then move it over into where we need it. But understand something, taxing you right away, like for example, crossing the bridge, charging you $18 or whatever it is, that's taking the tax money from you immediately. If you alleviate the tax burdens, that money is going to go into the restaurants, into the businesses. It's going to be able to be spent throughout the community. So you have to release that money straight from the government's hands and let it circulate back in the community, and that's going to create more wealth, not the opposite way around. Yeah, Isaiah, you have your hand up? I saw you.
Yeah, are you still running as a Republican socialist?
I'm not running as a Republican socialist. I did that because, it's so absurd, like what the left does, that I just wanted to be as absurd as they are. The left, specifically in this neighborhood and everything else, I mean, look, a lot of the stuff we want is the same. We want the cost of living to be lower. We have differences on energy, but I think it's just a lack of education for the most part. But again, free trains, free buses, free tolls, free energy, that's the way that we're gonna be able to prosper and raise families and be successful at the end of the day. DJ.
I do see a lot of ways that actually it could be free. For example, if we're not really using the advertising as much, sometimes they do a full wrap of the train. There's a lot of trains that's not wrapped. There's a lot of advertising, everything that's gone. Let's suppose that someone shows up at a turnstile and they forgot their wallet or whatever. hey, you know what, sometimes I play mobile games and I gotta watch these stupid ads. What happens if I watch some ads and the city still gets some money, but I don't have to be a criminal and jump the thing? All I gotta do is sit there and watch a couple minutes of, some BS. Maybe there's a way we can do it. I think we can be more intelligent. I really like Rinaldi's forward approach towards new solutions. I think there's a lot of untapped money. Instead, the Democrats do the same old crap again and again, which is milk the not-for-profit system, tax more money, and steal from little folks like you and me. Thank you, John.
I don't pay for the bus. I mean, I haven't paid for the bus in like 2 years, but that's okay. But the thing is, for example, the police department, right, that works. The police department's not supposed to work for the MTA. I know that they're there to patrol the subways, but again, we have to eliminate a lot of the spending that's being done, and we won't have a problem. And the subways are a mess because they closed all the mental institutions and the mental health facilities. So if we open up some of those, then we'll free up a lot of the safety and the crime and all the stuff in the subway, and they'll be much cleaner and much safer. Yeah.
You also want to make what's called 15-minute cities,
Right.
where everything is 15 minutes from you. And you can take public transportation, everything's 15 minutes. The hospital, the city MD, the chain stores, the laundry. And they don't really want you waking up tomorrow and say, you and I, hey, I know this nice little lake, it's about 3 hours in Pennsylvania, let's go fishing. They want to curtail that, and they want to take your sovereignty, and it's happening slowly.
Well,
And they're using excuses and parlaying these things, killing two birds with one stone. And one of the things is that, they're gonna take your travel, the way we used to have it, away, And this goes into the movie, I said, they're using the global climate stuff to facilitate some of this.
Yeah, I mean, I want to, based on what you said, I want to call out Easy Pass, right? Those of us that drive know that sometimes we pass through a toll, it's not red, and they send us a bill. And the bill is like 20 times as much as the toll. And if you don't take care of it, it goes on your credit. It goes, you are getting screwed by Easy Pass. And what that does is it messes up your credit. So think about the ability for low-income people or people that aren't even aware that this is happening. That messes up their ability to buy homes. It messes up their ability to travel, to get insurance. So yeah, they don't want us driving cars. That is part of the deal. But it also, carbon, we are carbon-based life forms. We breathe out carbon dioxide, you see. So if you can't make the connection that eliminating carbon means eliminating us, eliminating our ability to have children, because they don't want us to have children either. So we really have to make that leap, and it's hard because, just like Yuri Benzimov, who was a Russian defector, what he said is that, they demoralize us, and then we can have the information right in our face, and we're not even going to be able to believe it. So we're really up against a big fight to spread the information, but most of the people have been brainwashed through the schools, through the phones. It's impossible to have this kind of conversation. So, like I said, we can agree on certain things. If they want us to have 15-minute seats, they don't want us to drive, then give me free bus, give me free train. Okay, let's come back at them with our own ideas, with our own agendas, so that we can combat this. Yes?
Are you going to make that the theme of your campaign, free buses and subways?
It's part of my
That
campaign.
should be the main theme, and that will get you a load of votes.
Yeah, well, it's
That's the
definitely
right
part of
thing
it.
to do.
So. Anyone else? Okay, yeah, Jim.
Why not have free housing and free food?
Well, again, we already have social, see, the thing is that social services exist, okay, for those that need it. I'm not looking to have everything for free, I'm not saying that, but certain things.
Why not? Why not?
Because you have to be people, we used to have churches, we used to have institutions that will provide these things, that have now, because of 501c3, they're not allowed to engage in certain things politically, for that matter, so they're forced to be on one side of the thing. So, yes, we should have a society that helps those in need, that helps the people that need the social services. I'm not going off on a completely free for everybody everything, but what I'm saying is that because free food and stuff like that helps certain people, but for the working class, right, for those of us that have to go to work, for those of us that have to drive to the city, it's a big expense. And if we don't have that expense, that money can then go into the restaurants, can go into the businesses, can go to the gyms. So that money in and of itself can go back into the community. When you start talking about free everything, it's a different story. I'm just trying to say that there's certain things that can help us day to day, and certain things that can. Have you been to the city lately? It's completely dead. The whole place is dead. I remember when I worked 3 years ago, right? There was restaurants like Canva, whatever it's called. They had, people would order the food and they had it all in the window. They were doing so much business. Now it's a ghost town. So we got to get the businesses back up and running. And certain things we have to do to put the money back into the people. We're all struggling. So let us have a little bit of relief, is all I'm saying. A little bit of relief for the working class, and a little bit of relief so that we can, keep everything moving. I have 3 kids, right? So imagine me trying to take them to the city, $20-30 in transportation. I can go get them pizza, I can go take them to the museum. See, that's how you recirculate the money in the communities, in my opinion. So we just need a little bit of relief, and things will change.
You got my vote, you're in my district.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Is that it? You good? Okay, thank you very much.
Joseph Foley, anyone in District 2 in Manhattan?
How you guys doing? Good, good. You guys all know each other? Yeah? You know, why don't you turn around and say hi? My name is Joey. Nice to meet you. No, seriously, meet someone, turn around. The whole point of when you're just talking about leadership and following and what's going on, you need to build a community. That's the baseline of everything, how you build and how you be. You keep saying the left. I'm in the most blue district there is. There is no chance, that's all they keep saying. And that's the difference. Because you have to believe in something. You need a leader. You can't be a follower anymore.
What district are you in?
I'm in District 2. I'm running against Wiener, yes, Wiener's running again. Harvey, Maloney, Ali, Ryan, all big names, all politics, all been in it. I'm not that person. I have small businesses in Manhattan, multiple, graduated top of my class at NYU in economics and finance, went to Columbia in real estate and finance, and I also taught at Ford. See, the difference between this and what's going on, you keep complaining about the left, is that they have a community, right? They agree on things, there's logic and common sense. I'm sorry for the gentleman saying that's free this, free that, that's wild. That's not. We already pay high taxes. What you should be saying is that how do we pay less for subway systems and MTA when we live here and pay taxes in the city, right? Why is it okay for someone that lives in Connecticut or New Jersey using our system and pay the exact same prices as us? That's what you should be asking. That's number one. Have you changed the levels of rent, right? You have to take the middle society out and become homeowners. The city doesn't have that. Buildings aren't approved for FHA loans. Do you guys even know what FHA loans are? You can put, some people don't even know what that is. You don't have to put 20, 30, or 40% down. You can put 1 to 3% down. And the thing is that that's finance. You just have to have someone that's a delegate that could go there and talk about this. They want to make money. That's baseline. Number one, why am I running? Everybody asks me, Joseph, you have everything you need. You come from nothing. You built multiple businesses. You have everything that you want. Wife, 2 kids, a dog, living in Manhattan. Why would you run? Because what everybody says up here is safety. That's the issue, right? I have my family here, all right? I've been here for 21 years. It's not safe to walk with a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. That's how you know things aren't safe. You care about what's going on in Queens. I care about what's going on in Brooklyn. I'm starting my political campaign right now. And the point being is that safety should be the baseline of what we should be doing. The baseline. That's life. Walking down the street and not being worried about being pushed, explaining to someone why my daughter's asking, why is that person sleeping on the ground? Why is they sitting there all falling apart? What's wrong with him, Daddy? That's where we have to fix this. Why is this not safe for families? And you have to think about one thing, how things work. We have to learn from the past, aim for the future, and stay in the present. And what I'm hearing is that we're complaining about bureaucracy. We gotta change it, we have to do this, we have to do that. No. There's a system that's been in place for hundreds of years that has worked. It's checks and balances. You need leaders, not people complaining. It's not about fixing the system. It's about delegating and leading. Getting the police on board, getting the fire department on board, getting the regulations on board, getting every system working properly because they want to. You need to motivate people to win, not just take free handouts. You need to live a life with opportunity instead of just taking and taking and taking. And that is the difference with ongoing against everything else. I'm not trying to change the system. They fucked it up already. Sorry for the language. Oops, sorry. They screwed it up already, hands down. And they're trying the same people or same faces, same politics. That's the problem. Trump already said that. We have to fix it. He's doing it right now in front of our eyes. And people are like, whoa, people are leaving the Democratic Party to the independents. Why? Because it's a racial slur to say I'm Republican in Manhattan. You will get told F off no matter what. You have to change the mentality. You can't, as a business owner, how to succeed is not making a decision today. It's aiming what the future is supposed to be. And that's how you delegate. And that's how you change. Right now, Republicans are not liked here, period. Except in this room. I walk on the street, if I say I'm Republican, it's an F you. That's what it is. You know how hard it was to get signatures? It was difficult. That's a problem. If a Republican is a racial slur in Manhattan, that's an issue. And you want to change things, but we're going to complain about everything else. How do you change? You aim for the future. I went independent purposely because statistically, it makes more sense. Everybody wants me to become Republican. I am. I'm not. I admit it every single time. You look it up in the past, that's what I voted for. But statistically, as a business, it does not make sense. This city is a business. You can't give free. It doesn't work. Might as well go to China. I'm not even joking. Have you been to China? That's exactly what that is that you live in certain cities. It is tier 1 city, tier 2 city, tier 3 city. If you want to leave tier 3 or tier 4, you have to get accepted to a college or a job. You do not get free benefits. You do not get free healthcare. You do not get free housing. You do not get free this. That is a communist. It's not your socialist, that's a communist. That's what that is. That's literally the definition. You have to pay your dues. You have to be part of society. Economics is basics. It's also international, macro, and micro. You need the little people. You need the Jane Jacobs of the world. You know, Jane Jacobs versus Robert Moses. One of the biggest things that changed this society is that you could walk through Greenwich Village, you could walk through West Village, different ways, different paths with small mom and pops. Those don't exist anymore because basic simple is that landlords don't need to have those open. Tax them, they're billionaires. There's ways to do this the right way. But complaining about the system is not the right way. It's about solutions that actually can happen. And that's why I'm here. It's based safety baseline, my family. And everybody who has kids or grandkids, so they have a better future. I'm living in the present, but I gotta fix it, right? It's a promise to my future me that I'm gonna do the right thing. That is why I'm running. Not because I need to change the system, but to make the future better. That is it. I'm Joseph Foley. Thank you.
Any questions for Joseph? Go ahead.
You said you ran independent as a calculation?
I'm running independent as a calculation.
Okay, has the independent ever won a city council?
Not in my district. No one, it's been Democrat the whole entire time. The reason being is that I know that there's
What about in
enough.
city history?
What?
What about in your
I
city
didn't
history?
look at their city history.
Okay, all right.
I'm in District 2, yeah.
Just wondering, okay.
68%, or 68 and change.
So, like,
Democrat.
if we look at like Bloomberg won as Republican, how do you make the decision? I'm not mad at it, right? Like, you seem to be informed, you're well studied, but how do you say that it's a...
He was a
to
moderate Republican.
go independent instead of going Republican? How-
Well, it's not Bloomberg, Giuliani went independent first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your reason.
That's the reason why. And I talked to multiple Republican candidates about this in the future, about what's going on, and it's almost nearly impossible to win as a Republican. It's like 7% is registered voters as Republican in my district. Like, it's single digits. It's not even like. Go ahead, sir.
But what if you get on both lines, Republican and independent?
So I'll go down the whole thing. I had conversations with Robert about this, and I was astronomically upset about it. I did get half the signatures to go on the Republican line, but they already nominated someone, and that agitated me. I was like, that's not fair. He's like, well, no one else applied. I was like, yeah, and I was like, so no one else applied. I was like, that's not the way to go. Don't put some. Now they're asking me. I'm not gonna put it on the record, but they are asking me to speak at a lot of these events in the city. Specifically because that's going on.
What about conservative?
Who is that? That's Jason, and
There's always somebody there?
he is running the Republican conservative side. That's what's going on.
which party lines are, what's the name of your third party line?
My third party, New York Family First. NY Family First, yes.
Are you only going for one? Because you could actually go for more. I think you need 450 signatures.
Yeah, I'm just going for one. The whole strategic plan was, I was like, oh, one shot. I own, so another thing, I didn't really talk about my background. I own, this is so weird, come from nothing, Ivy League educated, ex-D1 athlete at Pitt, football and track, transferred to NYU, graduated class, Columbia, investment banking, and then one day became a SoulCycle instructor. I know that's so odd if you don't know what SoulCycle is. You ride a bike that goes nowhere, and people thought I was fucking insane. I still to this day don't believe I did it, but 8 years later, I own my own business, and I have a place on 18th and Broadway. I had a place on 18th and 6th, 23rd and 7th, 32nd and Park. My people are the people that come in 4 or 5 times a day to come talk to me. And I ride a bike to go there, so I motivate them. So I have like executives to people that are hosts come in to motivate them to get through their day. And so my reach is different than anyone else's. I talk to the people, I hear what the problem is, and mainly 99.9% of my clients are women, and it's the same thing, safety. Not even about it's just safety, cost of living, obviously, but there's solutions that's macro stuff that you can't fix, but safety you can. If people feel safe, they will spend more. That's just, I don't know.
I have another question. So the thing is that I say you have a background in real estate, and real estate is going to be the #1 corrupting influence in local politics. What do you know about corruption in real estate, and what are you going to do to clean it up?
Corruption in real estate. All right, wow, that's like a big.
The #1 corrupting factor.
I do know real estate very, very well. I'm a consultant, so one of the things is let's talk about rent control apartments. We can talk about Roberts. Does anybody know what Roberts is? Basically, when you took J51, you could destabilize apartments. And basically, this is one of the biggest cleanups is that a lot of them, they don't go back, they just kind of sign it off. There's no, the DHCR does not have, it's an agency, doesn't check back data to see if you're right. You have to inform the current tenants that used to be rent controlled, rent stabilized, that they might actually have a rent stabilized or rent controlled unit without even knowing. But you have to go through a process to figure it out. Section 8, again, big thing right this second. They're pushing everybody out with different levels. But if you do new development, they'll push it out purposely, not in the same building. They're trying to get rid of rent stabilization and rent control, but I think there's solutions. I think that you could destabilize that situation where they feel, because it's right now, it's not in favor of landlords, which is fine, but it's also not helping renters either. And so you're getting this situation where there's 10,000 units that are rent controlled, rent stabilized, that are just sitting empty, right? And so what you could do is have them pay, very simply, to get that out, and also have a dynasty basically changing throughout the time that they have to have 1 or 2 units rent stabilized, and that could be flipped over the years to keep going with it. But again, you can't deal with backroom deals. These are families that have been in wealth for hundreds of years now that are just, it's not public, so it's really difficult.
What do you see for senior 30% housing in the future?
Senior,
Are they gonna mess with that?
I have no idea like what they can do and what they can't do. Right now, what they're trying to do, in my opinion, with the city, this is basically, they're trying to build rentals everywhere. They want to take home ownership away from us. That's essentially what they're doing. They're trying to take it away. And I'm trying to bring it back. Because the rest of the country, you could get an FHA loan with first-time buyers and first families to get things down with less down payment. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a logic in Manhattan or an outside is that a down payment could be anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000. Just the down payment, that's wild, right? Where you could buy a mansion anywhere else, essentially in Maryland and stuff. So with FHA, you could put depending on how you set it up, you get 1 to 3% down and get that. So it's an amazing opportunity for that. But as far as like, they're trying to push us out of a home ownership, which is, that's where equity's built. That's where,
So you said they're pushing people Section 8 out.
Yes.
Where are they pushing them to?
That's a good question. I have no idea anymore. Further and further outside of the city.
Because 30% senior housing, you put in for this, you wait 3, 4, 5 years, get into a building, and you pay 30% of your income. So I guess if they're messing with Section 8, they're gonna mess with that too?
Yeah.
Try to find out. You should know about that.
Well, the bigger thing is the bigger thing is to think of home ownership is basically you're building equity, right? Pace it down in generations. So you're basically
Talking about home ownership.
I know, but we
talking
can.
about someone who makes 30%, that's to pay 30%. That's out of my league.
Well, no, but you're saying 30% for senior. What I'm saying is that with FHA loans, you don't have to have a down payment. It's like 1 to 2%. That's what they've taken away in the cities, basically, because the ways that, yes, it could only be for single families, but there is less than a dozen or so buildings that are FHA approved. There's ways of making it work so that people can have home ownership again. Go ahead.
They seem to be more friendly with people who have businesses like a grocery store, and they take loans, the grocery market, and they can buy real estate. They seem to favor those people.
That's a complicated situation with the SBA and how that thing goes, because it's like, it's based off of your income and what's going on, not your credit score and what the business is doing.
Guy around the corner owns a grocery store, the Yemenis, bought 5 homes in like the last 2 years.
Maybe the business is doing well. They can also take merchant loans out too, and they basically.
Merchant loans, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's one of the worst loans there is. It's like 20, 30%.
Whatever he's doing.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, we have a question here.
We're going all over here. Yeah.
Yes, I want to ask you a question concerning the future. You said that you would look towards the future to change. How would you do that by looking at the future for change? What would you do about the system? How would you change the system?
I don't think the system's broken. I think the system doesn't have leadership. It needs organization. It needs people that want to do things. Like the police reports, people that want to do because they keep saying defund the police. There's not like volunteer firefighters, everything. Like it's hard to get that job. The infrastructure is not there. There's not benefits. There's not things going on. So you have to lead by example to get those things. That's what we need. We need leaders, not people complaining saying the system's broken. We need people that can step up and lead and manage the most people. It's not about bureaucracy and fixing it. That's never going to go away. That's what America is. It's checks and balances. We need leadership. We don't have leadership at the local level. We have it at the federal level. We don't have it here yet. And that's what's messed up right this second.
I have a few questions. First off, do you know my friend Juan Pagan? Or do you know of him?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, he ran before.
Okay, no, I'm just first time running, so.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand. Do you foresee yourself winning this year?
Honestly, I don't want to, yes, I don't do anything. So one of the people said that she goes, what if it's for single digits? This is going to benefit you. I'm at 0 right now. I'm at 0. I have nothing has happened yet. Anything above that's amazing, right? If I could, as we're all older in here, I could talk myself out of anything, right? Anything. I could talk myself out of anything. Anything. As you go, you're like, I don't want to do that. Like, this is going to happen. That's going to happen. This is what I've learned in my life. Is you take chances. The bigger failures, the more you learn from. I failed more than anybody's child. You could ask my wife, she still thinks I'm single with no kids. She's like the way he thinks in business. And that's how I succeed. But here's the thing. I don't keep making the same mistakes. I look back and it's like, how could I perfect that? That's what it is. So I'm watching what my candidate, my opposing candidates are doing. And I'm watching, it's like, I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna let them bicker. Statistically sit there and know that most of the Democrats are leaving to the middle. And sit there that I have a small business, number 1. Family, number 2, right? Sitting there right there. And then I also know economics, and I know how to negotiate. That is, and my actions and my success rate, if you look it up, speaks louder than me. I just wanted to meet you guys. I wanted to talk way too longer than I thought I was supposed to speak, right? And to keep asking questions. But the point is to lead. That's what we need, not to complain. That is the one thing we have to figure out.
Yes. Volunteer fire department, I'm giving you an idea, just thought of it. You put in 10 years, after 10 years, you can get a 2% loan to buy a house.
Not that bad, actually.
Okay.
Volunteership, you're opening up like people being a part of the community. That's the key here. I heard it, everybody talking, complaining about Democrats, volunteers, this and that. It's because they built a community, whether they're far left or not, this is what it has to happen. You have to start thinking logically, right? Stop complaining and be like, how can we fix this? That's how you succeed. That's what you do here.
Don't let the Democrats steal my idea.
I'm holding the mic. Wait, I could talk forever. But go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, but I'm really deeply involved in housing as in terms of activism. And the thing is that earlier you said that you weren't sure about where they're sending them out of the state. I can tell you where they are. They're actually building. You could look at Hochul. She passed a law to try to build high-density housing by metro transit. What happened is upstate, they've built houses in environmentally impacted areas like Newburgh, which has PFAS, which people I know have cancer. And the thing is that they built homes that would HUD money, and they have to fill them up, so they take the undesirables and they're gonna move them out there. And the plan is for basically, the poor people, it's like, they want them out of town by sundown. Now, I'm actually working with a guy named Greg Marshall. He's actually the last guy left in his entire building because the rest of the building is on rent control. I'm also working with several tenant association presidents. I've also testified in front of the, the federal monitor about issues going on because I've also worked as a contractor inside the apartments. So I have, and lastly, I also work with city FEPs, and I'm arranging a housing discussion panel coming up. I just did one on higher education at Columbia University, and I could really use your help as in terms of, with your connections and with your, in the industry, and maybe have a real discussion about what's going on. I would really appreciate that.
I know the dean at Columbia for the real estate school, and I know he's supposed to be the dean for NYU too. So if you need a discussion, I'm more than happy to chat.
I will really.
Yes. Anything? There's another.
Yeah.
I have a question for everyone, and I want everyone to speak on, but if everyone hasn't spoken.
You know what, yeah, that's right, let's let Wayne speak for now, because Wayne's been sitting there.
Wayne.
Do it for Wayne.
Thank you, Joe.
Greetings and peace to everyone. Thank you for allowing me to be a guest in your club. Thank you, Mr. Daniel, for inviting me to speak. Thank you, Mr. James Price, for being my guest here. Long story short, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Wayne Chang, and I'm running for Brooklyn Borough President. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, from a very family-oriented background. People in my family are very loving, kind people. I went away to school for college at Gettysburg College, and I graduated from there, and I came back to Brooklyn, New York to start my career. My passion was always within youth and community development, so I started off in the education as a school teacher. So I deal with children. So I look right in the faces of the future. And I also have an interest in economic development, so I began to build my business that focuses on real estate, businesses, and commodities, such as precious metals, like gold. So the reason why I'm running for Brooklyn Borough President is because I would like to create a change within the community of Brooklyn, New York, and hopefully it impacts the entire world within my lifetime. I'm running on principles that I think we all agree on: peace, joy, happiness, contentment. So these are things that I think will bring people together where we could begin to focus on solutions. Because since the time I've been born, which wasn't that long ago as you could tell, we always highlighted the problems that we're facing, going back to the very beginning of America. And I think that's why we had things like the American Revolution, the Civil War, so forth and so on, right? Mr. Price, you asked a question about the future and the system. And I agree, I don't think that the system is necessarily broken, but I do think that we do have leaders that perpetuate bad practices within the system. And the forefathers, they may have foreseen that happening. So they said that if the government fails the people, we could change or abolish the government altogether. But the system, the constitution in which they wrote, is a very beautiful constitution. It includes all people. We the people hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and all have inalienable rights, right? It's our job now to pick up the mantle because with the leaders that were in the position then and maybe now as well, throughout the timeline of history, they had a lot of corruption within them. And their ethics were not in place. So until we fix the root of the problem with America, then we're gonna continue talking about all the problems for generations to come. But I believe that that time is up where we continue to talk about problems all day, and we have to come up with actual concrete solutions. So what I would like to focus on my platform would be education, number one. There needs to be a retraining of all of our people. We talk about mental health a lot. Mental health, if we're not properly educated from kindergarten, from a very young age, we're gonna have to deal with a lot of mental health problems. They diagnose it as schizophrenia, paranoia, bipolar, all these things, because at the root, the child is not reared properly. They're not educated properly. So even as adults now, we have to be re-educated. So a lot of us are going to therapy for things that happened to us when we were a child, the trauma, to uproot that. Then, as far as economics is concerned, I have an idea in mind that could make everyone happy as far as like economic revitalization. But not everybody may be ready for such a drastic solution or a drastic change. But I have solutions in my mind that I think would get rid of all the other problems that we talk about. For example, the housing problem, jobs, maybe even a famine, things of that nature. So I know you were asking for emails and websites. My website is changforchange.com. That's Chang, C-H-A-N-G, 4 F-O-R, change, as in changing the world. So I believe that we could do that together. Let's change the world. And my email is Wayne, my first name, .chang.jr@gmail.com. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Wayne, we have a question.
What's your position on the UFT, charter schools, and vaccine mandates? UFT, charter schools, vaccine mandates. Thank you.
I believe that the whole education system needs to be revamped. I don't necessarily agree with the curriculum. So that goes back into the idea of like re-educating our people. So we have to collectively come up with a better educational system, one. And I don't think that there should be any mandates for vaccines at all. I don't necessarily agree with vaccines. But if you decide that you want to take it, make sure you do the research on what is actually in it and how it could affect you.
What neighborhood in Brooklyn are you from?
I grew up in Canarsie. So last election cycle, I ran for city council, and that was the 46th district.
Okay,
One more question here. Sir. Yes, you're running for Brooklyn Borough President, correct? You're running for Brooklyn Borough
Yes,
President. Have you looked at the budget that the Borough President gets, and have you looked it over, the allocation of the monies, et cetera, in there?
I haven't really looked in depth into it, but I know the mayor is dealing with billions of dollars, and recently he passed like a bill where close to 200 million is given to youth and community development, early childhood education. But the finance aspect of it, it just deals with, if we're talking about this, the people's taxes. All of that has to be looked into, and how tax money is being used as well. But there's money out there. I wouldn't be afraid of like money, because like, it's still a concept that we make up. Money is a concept. It's not something tangible. The real wealth is underneath our feet.
Okay, I think we'll go with Irene Estrada.
Everyone spoke so
Oh,
far.
woman. God bless you. I hope you guys are excited that I'm here. I can't hear you. Say amen. We have an obligation to ourselves, to our children, for generations to come. My name is Irene Estrada. I am from the Bronx. I am a Texan. I was born and raised in Texas, and I came here in 1982. And since 82, I've been serving the Bronx, whether it be in church, community service, running my own children's program, running programs for the NYPD. My list is long of all the adventures that I have done as an activist. From housing, fighting the board guidelines, winning battles, losing battles. Because when you're an activist, you have to understand that we take a stand between standing in the gap, like God called us to do, like Nehemiah, Moses, Abraham, Esther, Ruth, anybody in the Bible. God called us to be vessels, servants. So we stand between the poor and the government. We stand between the rich and the poor to find medium for those who are affected by their decision making. Every decision that has come from Congress, from state level, state senators, state assembly, and the 51 members of city council, every single decision that have made is anti-God, anti-family, anti-authority, anti-police. So when we take a look at this, you say, well, how in the world, we're in 2025, shouldn't it be better for us in America? Shouldn't it be better for us in New York City? Shouldn't it be better for the veterans, for our seniors, for our children, and for our next generation? So when you take a look at where we were and where we are today, the experience I come running for mayor of New York City is prayer. As an intercessor, as a prayer warrior, as a woman of God, I'm a minister, I'm a clergy. I am the clergy for the NYPD. I am the spiritual advisor to the NYPD Police Women Endowment Association. So when you're supporting the NYPD, you're supporting us. My two daughters are NYPD. One is a sergeant, the other one, Detective Daisy Gonzalez. She is evidence collection team, and congratulations to her. She retired yesterday. So then last night, they also honored my daughter, who's a sergeant, by the retired sergeants. The retired detectives honored her last night in Long Island. And when I'm sharing these experiences with you, is that I was a single parent. And people say in New York City, our children can be a statistic, or they're going to be a success story. But it's not the government's problem how to raise the child. As a Christian, as a mother, I'm a single parent. The government never came knocking at my door telling me how to raise my kids. It is my responsibility to find the nonprofit organizations to assist them as they're growing. But because I come from a very strong family, it is my responsibility, not the nonprofit organizations, not the Brownies, not the Girl Scouts, not the YMCA. It is our responsibility to invoke and declare and to preach and teach to our children what will become of your future and the consequences if you don't follow of the choices that you make in your life. But parenting has changed because parents feel that the government took your parenting rights away. Well, I am Mexican American, where the chancla, which is our shoe, that if you disobey, we're gonna throw it at you. Because let me tell you something. I always told my kids, and I ran children programs in the Bronx. I ran the NYPD Explorer program, which I trained kids to become police officers. And I always told those kids, I catch you in the street doing something you're not supposed to be doing, you're not gonna answer to the police. You're not gonna answer to your mother. You're gonna answer to me. So I better see you running for your life. Because you will owe me 4 years of college, and then you can be released from me. Because then I know that you're not gonna fall into the poverty line and you will have a successful life. When I was working for the Board of Education, every single classroom of 500 students, I went into every classroom to pray with them. They said, you cannot pray with them because Board of Education, leave God out of the schools. But my principal knows me as a prayer warrior, as a woman of God, as minister or chaplain. You're not gonna stop me. Fire me, do what you wanna do, report me, record me, doesn't matter to me. Don't like me praying, get out of the room. So I went to every room and prayed for all these children so that God could renew their strength, their minds, their hearts, and their souls. Because if we don't cover our children in prayer, then they cannot study. Then they cannot know who they are in Christ to become whatever they want to become. We live in America. The sky is the limit. You could do whatever you want to do. And if you don't become whatever you want to do, it's because you're not being molded or because someone's talking down to you and bullying you. And some of that also comes from home, not necessarily in the schools or in public. So when I'm sharing these stories with you, dealing with all these children, we have a lot of success stories. Because the same thing I told my Expo program, you owe me 4 years of college. But if I see any of my students having a hard time, they know they can FaceTime me. They know they can find me on Facebook. They know they can message me. If their parents are going through a hard time, they know they can call me. Because we are the vessels of God. We are the army. So some of you might say, oh my God, but I'm a senior. How many of you guys are seniors? Come on, the golden years. Come on, I know you this morning. 55 and over, raise your hands, be proud of who you are. Don't be ashamed. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I am a senior. I am a senior running for mayor. I ran for city council, I ran for state assembly, I have run for senator, and I was the district leader of the 80th district. In running for district leader as being appointed or elected, that was during the time of COVID. In my district, we had the highest number of deaths in the nation. During that time, Governor Cuomo was the governor. And during this time, we as leaders, as elected officials, we call his office, we need this, we know what the nursing homes need medication. At that time, they were asking for ventilators. We didn't have no leadership. Number one, they don't answer the phone. None of our state assembly, senators, city council, everybody believes that they don't have to answer the phone, but they can collect a check. So because during the COVID time, our district was suffering so much, we were doing ministry because we were doing funerals on Zoom. When you take a look at families that could not say goodbye to their loved ones and not having any kind of closure, was a pandemic. I worked at Ground Zero during 9/11. People don't want to talk about 9/11 because it's offensive to some. But we as Americans know that it's an insult to us. Because I worked at Ground Zero under the American Red Cross from the Southwest. And I also worked there because of the NYPD. And when you see the destruction of what it looked like and where these, all the first responders are dealing with all their illnesses, all these related illnesses, it hasn't gone away. The memories don't go away. The deaths don't go away. Because that was another crisis that we shared among one another. During 9/11, I always spoke in different organizations across the nation. And I've always mentioned to them, 9/11 was a time of trauma. Trauma that we didn't discuss. Trauma that we put everything under the rug. You're sad, put it under the rug. You go to school, you don't talk about 9/11. You see it on television, turn it off. So when they condition us not to share, to speak, to have emotions, you don't have closure. This is the same thing that happened with COVID. During COVID, we all were locked down. During this lockdown, you become traumatized. Your civil liberties were challenged. Your physical, mental, spiritual, financial, and emotional being was challenged. And then you say, where's our leadership? Where's our leadership? Because they're telling us to do one thing, but yet they're enjoying themselves in another. As a crisis responder, I respond to hurricanes, tornadoes, any crisis across the nation. Katrina is a perfect example. I work with Katrina. Katrina, I received a phone call from Washington, D.C., and they told me, we are not going into New Orleans to rescue anybody. Let them die. So when you take a look at the condition of the flooding and the levees that were never fixed, but somebody pocketed that money because it was infrastructure and that was money that came from the federal government. So when you take a look at this, it was a crisis for New Orleans. We had organizations, Doctors Without Borders, American Red Cross, and I can list a list of 100 organizations and Christians that when the government does not respond, we take the initiative to go get it done. Send the boats. I had congressmen from Louisiana, congressmen from Texas, everyone's calling me. We're doing it all the work together. And shipping people out from the waters into different states, and they never returned back because they lost everything. That's the same thing that happened with Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. They were never going to rescue them. So many of the families came to New York City, came to the States to stay with family until everything calmed down. Because we had the storage, all those containers in Puerto Rico, they were never opened. We sent all the supply, but it was never opened. So we're fighting a battle every single day with our government, with our elected officials, because they don't care about the people. They're hungry, they didn't have no water, and yet they never opened the containers. But they did open the containers so they could party on one side of Puerto Rico for those that were elected officials, because they were never going to open them. And I'm sharing this with you because we talk about land. During this time in Puerto Rico, when all those families came to the New York State and to the different states to get away from Puerto Rico because they had no home, they were buying their land because their land was being sold to people from Switzerland. And then you say, well, oh my God, this is a lot of information. I'm an activist, it comes to me. But because I've been doing it since 1982, we have the sources to get this information correctly. And sometimes they don't want us to have that information. And that's why when you see TikTok videos of people in Puerto Rico on the beaches and people are telling them, get out of my beach. This is my side. I own this side. No, it would never belong to you. You took the land from people who used to live there, who came to the States and lost everything because Puerto Rico sold it to you. Was it actually sold? If it still belongs to the person that never signed the deed? So right now, during COVID, for seniors and everyone else that is sitting to me, when you take a look at all the bills that state assembly, state senators have passed, it's anti-God, anti-family. These bills are passed, meaning that if somebody's sick in your house, COVID, 416 bill from the state assembly. Someone can come into your house, take all the children, all the adults, all the seniors, and leave you with nothing. And where would they go? They're not going to tell you because it's an emergency. FEMA. Let's talk about immigration. People don't want to touch it because it's a touchy issue. The first person being sent back to their country is me. I'm Mexican American. Everywhere I go back to your country. And I'm like, okay, so where's my country? I'm from Texas. My mom and my dad were born in Texas. My parents' parents were born in Texas. And their parents were born in Texas. So where exactly do you want me to go? Because I'm 5 or 7 generations American. When Texas belonged to Mexico, and when the land belonged to the Indians. So when we take a look at how far you want to push discrimination, and you speak about equality. You want to speak about unity, but yet you segregate certain people. The same way we have all these European countries coming in here illegally, was the same way they were all coming from the border. When Biden opened all those borders, we had people from all over the world. I have videos from people from Ukraine coming on buses, Pakistan, from Yemen, from Iraq, from Korea, from all over the world. But yet, Mexico is a problem. South America is a problem. But we don't see nobody throwing down the Europeans on the floor, detaining them. We don't see nobody throwing down anybody who's African on the floor and detain them. Because you don't want to have an issue with Black Lives Matter. You don't want to have an issue with the other people who are going to be out there in the streets. So you pick on the weakest ones. The hard-working people. They work 24 hours on 1 o'clock, 7 days a week. And they get taken advantage of. Last week I had a phone call from a dentist or a doctor from Mexico. And they told me, Irene, we are here illegally. I'm not illegally, but we're working on our green card process and whatever. But they have a degree as a doctor. And I'm like, so what is the problem? Your degree here in America means nothing. So you have to go and start the school all over again? Because your degree in wherever country you came from does not matter. So she's working in Brooklyn for a certain kind of community. And they have these particular ladies cleaning their homes. But it's not cleaning their homes that pisses me off. It's how they have them cleaning their homes. How are you going to have a human being, a woman, cleaning your floor with a toothbrush? That's inhumane. To say that you're American and that you're proud, and yet you abuse the poor. So God never called us to continue to abuse the poor. God called us to cover them mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, and emotionally. If we're Christians, this is what we do. So I am running for mayor because of all my political endeavors. My children are all NYPD, and all these people who were elected were defunding the police. While they're defunding the police and being nasty to the police, I'm standing right there in front of them saying, I am the one that represents the NYPD. I am the one that represents the police department, the police families, because God forbid you wear an NYPD shirt, and then they tell you, oh, you got to take it off because they might hurt you. You know how we make a chain with their badges number? They told us not to wear it because they might hurt us. Because during that time of defunding the police, this is what they do. So I'm sharing this with you because I want you to learn how to be awake in a nation that has been sleeping for how long? And you say it's their fault or is it our fault? But the Bible says that these things happen because good people have sat down and done nothing about this. So you come here to this meeting because you want change. You come to this meeting because you want to see an expectation of what is in my future. He's a young man. He wants to know what's going to happen to my future. Because the way I see it, I don't even know if I can continue being educated. Because everywhere you go in NYU or any of these schools, you're being indoctrinated. You're not being taught about your career and your major and what are you going to become as you get older. They're indoctrinating you. So then they tell you, when there's a protest in the city, go and participate and you will get an A. Go and participate and we'll pay you $30 an hour. But get out there and march because we believe in liberalism. We believe in this particular issue. And that's how people get all those thousands of people to hold traffic. Listen, I'm an activist, I know. I'm very close to our mayor, Eric Adams. When I meet with Eric Adams, I share with him, I sit at a table with him, I discuss the issues in our communities, in the whole city, and I tell him immigration, police, whatever it might be. The man will listen to me, he's a good friend of mine. I am running against a friend of mine. I am running against because I believe in democracy. I believe that if we don't have a strong person that can put an end to all this nonsense and say, enough is enough, get your stuff together, raise your children, take care of your own kids, all this nonsense of all these kids running a mess in the streets. Listen, in some states, if the kid don't go to school, it's not the kid's face that goes on the news. It's the parent's face. They say, oh, well, Miss Jones' kid, look, her kid didn't go to school today because she's on the news. So they'll show 300 parents one at a time. Cheryl Jones, David Jones, whatever it might be. Because the community knows your face. So now you gotta live with the humiliation that your kid's cutting class, not the one he has to do. So you gotta straighten out your kid. That is your responsibility. Do not spare the rod, God. You need to speak to your child and get them together for the reinforcements of family. But then you say, oh, well, there's a single parent missing. The father's here, the mother's there. I'm a single parent. My children already graduated from college. They're already, one retired and one's a sergeant. Listen, how successful do you want your children to be, depends on how successful you want to be in your spirit, to be not demanding. Listen, I'm my own detective. Don't come tell me what my kid is doing because I already know. I will go into your room, and this is what parents need to do. Go into your kid's room as teenagers. Find out if they have anything that's gang colors. Don't be surprised. Oh my God, he's a good kid. He's not a gang member. You know that you know because you know it. If they're locking the door and not letting you in, then you better go ahead and break that lock. Kids are the parents' responsibility, not the city and not the state. And the city and the state have taken over only because they feel it's a new program that we can pay as a nonprofit, but you never see action. You never see the results. How many of all these millions of nonprofit organizations, but you don't see no results? I come here with you with my receipts. Receipt after receipt from running programs, from working for the Board of Education, to knowing what works and what doesn't work. Am I a perfect individual? Absolutely not. Am I fabulous? Absolutely. We have to go ahead and not only believe in ourselves and take back our city, but there are certain things that have to be on point. When you talk about government, it's housing, affordable housing. Then you have public safety. And what people say, I'm looking for public safety, I'm running against public safety, and this is what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do it, and these are my plans. But dude, I've never seen you in a public safety meeting. I've never seen you in a public safety hearing. I've never seen you out there defending the police while they were defunding them. So when you talk about public safety, I am the picture of public safety. My children, my life. So the Blue Flag, how many of you guys watch Blue Bloods? When you watch Blue Bloods came to one of our events, and they took a picture with my family, all of us together. And they said, we want to be with your family because our Blue Bloods is fake and yours is real. I have the real commissioner, you have the fake commissioner. So I'm sharing these things with you because I want you to get activated. When you need God and your battery is running low, and you're depressed, you're overwhelmed, you have anxiety, and you have mental illness, and you're taking medication, and nothing is working for you, because you're left on. Because see, when this phone goes dead, what do? Anybody know what you do? What do? You charge it. But if you don't charge it to the right conduit, to the right plug, to the right cord, it's not going to get plugged into the right direction, and it's not going to work for you, and the battery life is going to be dead. But when you plug it into the right thing, not only will you be at 100%, you're going to get everything that you want from it because it is at full capacity. We're running a city with leaders who are at 0%, who have no battery, who are not connected with God, who have no love for the people except themselves and their pockets. And we learned from de Blasio and his wife taking all that money that belonged to the mental illness. And that's why we have so much mental illness, because she pocketed that money and nobody went in and called it a crime. So we as Christians, as people, as New Yorkers, who love the city and love one another, must connect ourselves to the correct leaders that are going to lead the way and make sure that we listen to unity and unifying Democrats, Republicans, Conservatives. I don't care what party you're on. I am a registered Democrat. I am running on the conservative line. I am being picked up by the Republicans. I deal with the independent parties because it's not about what party you are in. It's are we ready to take it all back? So you infiltrate.
Hey Irene, can we take 2 questions and then we have to move
Absolutely.
on with the meeting? Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Any soul?
Yeah. I do. Some of you have touched on law and order. I'm just curious, has any of you read the highest law of the state, the New York Constitution? And if you have, what do you feel about the latest amendment to the Constitution?
I haven't read it, to be honest with you.
And most people don't.
If you want to share it with me, then I can go ahead and move with, answer your question.
Well, the latest amendment to the Constitution was Proposition 1.
Okay.
And unfortunately passed. And we already seen problems with it already. Its language was vague, and it will do a couple of different things. But one of the things that we're particularly concerned with is the usurpation of parental rights. For instance, it uses the language of age, it doesn't specify what age. And it would allow children to make medical decisions. If they say goo goo gaga and they said, okay, I think you want a shot, I can give it to you without parental knowledge. So that's just one of the things that's there.
Now, this was passed this year or last year?
Last year.
Yeah. So what happens with that particular scenario is that, again, it goes back to your civil liberties as parents. And everything is written back when you flip a page when we have to pass all these particular bills that they want to pass. They put it so much in tiny print that we can't even read it. And when you look it up and try to find out this information, you're going to wind up finding out that, you know, they passed it anyway. So sometimes you kind of wonder that if these things are passed anyway, regardless of how many people voted no for it. We do have a problem because it's going to start affecting our kids in school, because it is true that they can start injecting the children in school without the parents' consent. So that's exactly the format of that particular statement that you were talking about.
Yeah, but this is an issue again, you know.
But I am, even though I am against it, it's something that has already passed. And it's something that parents across the nation or across New York State or New York City have to take a look in protecting children even more so. Especially those that are in elementary and middle school and high school. Because once you have that adult age, they'll say, well, you can make your own decisions. But when you're a minor and you're still in school, even when I worked in the department, let me tell you something, there's some things that you can't even tell the parents because they have rights.
Understood. So then on these other questions, we were up in Albany to voice our support in opposition to certain bills that are coming, unfortunately, down the pike. And one of them is the themes of the bills that we were there for support or opposition were about parental rights and about human rights and the workers who were fired during the mandates and who are constantly being fought on getting their jobs back. So, talk a little about that and comprehensive sex education that they want to push in schools. So some of you touched on some of those issues, and I'd just like for you to elaborate on that.
But when it comes to the sexual part again.
Can we have everybody answer, please?
Sure, go ahead. Give us a moment. I mean, that I know. Daniel,
Yes, what do you like me to speak on? Prop what? Proposition 1 specifically?
The proposal. All things that we discussed, you know, expound.
So, that was Article 1, the 11th Amendment of the New York State Constitution, the 1962, the Equal Rights Act. Basically, it was first, I think, introduced, if I recall, if I'm not mistaken, was for abortion rights. And New York being one of the most liberal states in the Union, when it comes to abortion, probably outside of California, other than that, what was put in the language was that this was for protecting women's rights and abortion rights, but that's already existed. So the amendment that I actually put in was for gender ideology and discussions of, I believe like in schools, that now the administrators or counselors can, without parents' consent, can discuss gender transitions with children and having boys in girls sports. This was the whole thing of the Proposition 1, what they were doing. The Democrats weren't saying that. They were talking about that it was for abortion rights. And many of them were outside of the ballots when people were voting, directly outside. They weren't allowed to be, but they let it happen. And telling people, vote yes for Prop 1. Vote yes for Prop 1, without telling people what Prop 1 was for. The original amendment, well, not the amendment, the original Article 1, I believe, was for equal rights. It's the Equal Rights Act.
That's what they called it.
That's what they called it, yeah, that's what it was. So this was, Prop 1 was an amendment, Proposition 1 was an amendment to the Equal Rights Act. And it was pushed through, the legislation was pushed through by, the State Assembly and the State Senate. which is overwhelmingly, make no mistake, overwhelmingly Democrat. The Assembly Speaker and the State Senate Leader are both Democrats, and the City Council, 40, I believe, 6 or 45, 46 of the 51 seats are Democrats. They put a lot of money into this, special interests have. They're very well funded. The Working Family Party, that's another one. They pushed this too. It was kind of something that we didn't have representation, but the people that were trying to stop this, the Conservatives, the Republican Party, and many of the people running at that time. I know one of them last year, he's here right here, Brandon Castro ran for State Assembly in District 37, ran a great race. This is one of the issues he was bringing up and bringing that to the community. The incumbent, who was for Prop 1, was elected. So the people aren't being told about this. Or when they are, they're being lied to by their representatives. They were told this Equal Rights Act, so you think about that, you say, oh, all right, that makes sense. Of course I'm for that. Yeah, I'm gonna vote yes. Oh, it's for, then they said it for the women, to get the women to vote. Oh, it's for abortion, for women's rights. Oh, of course I'm for that. And that's how Prop 1 gets passed and gets pushed. So.
Absolutely. I just also want, I'm glad you spoke about it, I'm glad you expounded on it, I'm glad you acknowledged on it, as well as other parts of the Constitution. Like I said, nobody reads any short. But also, you identify what it is, and it's here, unfortunately. The process to get it off is...
It's going to bring a lot of lawsuits, though. It's here, but it doesn't mean it's not going to bring a lot of lawsuits.
A lot of those things. But I'm actually thinking about ways that you can mitigate what's going on. There's other bills that are going to strengthen, further weaken our rights as, I would think, as parents, as workers, and all of that. And what are there ways, have you thought about ways in which you can mitigate the impact of what's here?
It's not about mitigating or circumventing the process. I think it's about speaking up and holding our elected officials accountable, holding the people that run that we support accountable. I think the grassroots campaign is now, you'll see even like getting the youth involved. That's one thing that the DSA is very good at. They're going in now to schools, in the high schools, the 15, 16-year-olds when they're going to juniors and senior years, and getting them jobs at these non-for-profits that really fund them. So there's a lot of work to be done, and I think it's people speaking out and people that are knowledgeable about this, like yourself, coming here in communities and getting involved and getting active and stepping up. Yeah, we need to really, I think, it's not just, that's part of the reason why I'm running, is there does need change, and things are just going really now out of control. The agencies aren't even account. We were just talking about before with the RVs and these trailers that are there. These multiple city agencies, Department of Health issue, Department of Transportation, Department of Buildings, because those are actual living quarters. The NYPD, Department of Sanitation. No one is doing their job, and it's really affecting the quality of life. It's a safety issue, obviously, because clean streets, there's a correlation with safety. And that's part of the reason why I'm running. I wish, I know I intend, that's why I'm running, I'm speaking out about this. And we need to go actually to our community boards together. We need to organize and go out and let them know that this is not acceptable no more, and that the people that are in charge, we need to, really hold them accountable.
Hey, John, can we move it to Joseph over there? And sure. Joseph, you to comment on what we've been talking the last 25 minutes?
I'm not gonna lie, I like to educate myself, so I was reading about it. This gentleman just told me a little bit about it. I think one of the things that we have as an issue is, like I said, about community and being educated, right? We use the Working Family Party. They don't even endorse people that actually have families. Like, that bothers me, right? Like, that's probably what I literally am, the definition of a working family, right? In Manhattan small business. And I'm looking at this, I'm running for CEC, Education Council as well. And I put it right up on number 2 as like boys with boys, girls with girls in sports. I'm a very big advocate of this. And the reason is multiple reasons. One is just it's scientifically evident that when you go through puberty as a man, you just have better bone density and stronger, period, hands down. It's just the majority's there. And they're like, oh, it's a statistic, it's such bullshit. And the reality is that I'm talking about a 7-year-old and a 7-year-old running in soccer and a hit, period. It has happened. I've talked to people like directly that the girl can't speak properly because she hit her head because some boy ran into her. That's the definition right there. And also it's like with NIL deals too, with sports, right? Millions of dollars being put around, right? Your daughter sits there in a swim team, amazing, gonna get a ride to Stanford, and also she goes to States and loses some guy that identifies. Just put it this way. Let's put it basic. This is an older group. Caitlyn Jenner won the Olympics for the men's decathlon, right? Right? Imagine if she basically was like, oh, I'm a girl. She would have won the women's and men's. That's the definition of what's going on in Maine right this second. Is that you just identify. There's no transition. Sports is very simple. You cannot use steroids, you can't use testosterone, you can't use the suppression. That doesn't work by testing. If that's the case, everybody would be doing this. 70s and 80s with the Russians and us with steroids. My God, Pete Rose just got back into the Major League Baseball, for God's sakes. Like, these are the basic things that are just like common sense stuff. We're going back to like they were wrapping it up for no reason. And as people are getting hurt. Literally, and this is the best thing. So I sat there and I was campaigning outside one of the schools, and they came up to me, one woman yelling. And I know exactly the type of woman that came up to me. She's one of my clients. This is the type of woman that is my client at what I do. And I knew it was coming. I knew when she read it, she was coming at me, and I was like this, you know what, you just dropped your daughter off, right? And that's the moment she shut up. Because at the moment they can fight for it, right? As soon as it's in their own home and it's going on, they shut up immediately and walk away. Because the reality is that it makes logical sense that you want to fight for this, but until it happens to your son or daughter, it doesn't matter. Ask them. Imagine if your son or your daughter was about to lose to a man in track and field, right? These are the things that you have to ask these people, and that's how you solution. I can only speak on the sports aspect. I can't speak on the rest of what's going on. I will say that the verbiage that he was explaining, that's what they do. They wrap it in, so it's pretty. It's marketing. Again, this is a business. That's what this is. Politics is a business. The government is a business. If you see, hey, visit Virginia, right? It's not because they want you to visit Virginia. They want you to spend money in Virginia, right? That is the purpose. You see it on the MTA, be like, come to Vermont. Go to Smuggler's Notch. Go to Stowe. That's not because they want you skiing. They want you to spend money in their state because it builds taxes up with sales tax. It's a business. And Manhattan, New York City is one of the biggest ones here. And that's what we have to do. We have the right leaders. This is not broken. We just have to have the right leaders in say.
So, Wayne?
As far as abortion is concerned, I'm pro-life. But don't clap too quick because I'm also pro-choice in certain situations, right? For example, if a young lady is raped by someone, then she has the right to abort a child if she gets pregnant, right? I believe in that. Pro-life, it goes back to my concept of education. So my younger sister, she was just accepted into Howard University, and she'll be enrolling in this fall. When Howard University was founded, they said that there's 3 sciences that they would never teach their students. The first one was the science of business. The second one was the science of warfare. And the third one was the science of mating. All right? So if we go back into getting a proper education, and in this case, let's focus on the science of mating, we wouldn't have to deal with such issues because we will make better choices in selecting our mates, our woman, husband, men, wives, right? We'll make better choices. So we wouldn't have to worry about what the consequences of what happens when you reproduce, when you make love, when you enter into your second dynamic. As far as men and women in sports and things of that nature. When you're elected as our leaders, the politicians, they have to swear on the Bible. The Bible is senior data to a constitution. But you're upholding the Constitution, but the Bible has descriptions of a man and a woman. God doesn't even want men to dress like women, much less engage in like a competitive, if you get the point that I'm making. So he has a description like men shouldn't wear dresses. In the school today, and the schools these days, they have men dressed as if you're a woman, educating our children. All right, so that would be incorrect according to the word of God. So do we now as a people allow it to be a way of life if we write it in the Constitution? I don't agree with it.
Okay, you have a question?
Oh, yes, I want to ask Mrs. Estrada a question.
Okay.
Go ahead. I want to ask her, you mentioned about prayer in school. I want to know, when what legislation took prayer out of the school, and why did they do it?
I don't know when they took prayer out of the schools, because for me, it's never been out of the schools. But now I believe under this administration that that was one of their goals to bring prayer back into the schools. And I believe even the mayor at this point also mentioned about bringing prayer back into the schools. I think through the foundation that our faith begins at home. And if we as parents raise our children in a faith-based home, then it will give you an opportunity to see your child have a successful life. Not all children will continue the faith, because the Bible says that, we can train a child in the way that he should go, and he will not depart from it. It doesn't mean that they're going to stay in the same pathway as you, but because they're going to make choices on their own. But to answer your question, it's sad that they, at that time when they took it out, I think it was because we're becoming very liberal in our decision making. Because once you take prayer out of the schools, then it's going to open the door to everything available, everything that is anti-God. And that's the problem that we have now. To shut it down, we do need to bring prayer back, but we also have to have a foundation. As those who are running for office, and those who are elected officials now, as clergy, when I go visit anywhere in the nation or here in New York City or New York State, they always come to those who are in Christ, those who are Christians or ministers, and they'll always tell us, well, now that you're an elected official, how do you see people who are, the LGBT or the transgender community or this community or that community? As an elected official, it is not my duty to give you the word of God and preach and teach to you. As an elected official, it is my sole duty to make sure that you are covered mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, and emotionally. And spiritually, so that you can go ahead and be at the church of your choice. Because if we are live in America, they are going to have the freedom of choice. As a Christian, I'm not going to go and violate their rights. My faith is my faith. How they believe is how they believe. But if I'm going to make the leader in the Gracie Mansion or in City Hall, consider this in the Old Testament. Not everybody followed Moses. Not everybody wanted to go into the promised land. But he still did his duty as a leader.
Okay, I just want to get a question here. Okay.
Thank you. The subject of life, it encompasses more than just abortion. Unfortunately, a very dangerous bill passed in the New York State Assembly, and it's now in the State Senate, to allow for physician-assisted suicide. And when I wrote to my state assemblyman, Alan Hevesy, to express why I was opposed to it, he gave all these answers about how it's compassionate, people are in pain. There are so many ethical issues around this. Sometimes people are told that they have a fatal condition, Doctors are not God, people recover. There are also so many cases where this could be abused. You could get someone who doesn't have the full capacity to sign, to consent to this. And it's very scary that it's now in the Senate, and I'm just wondering how all of you feel about this.
Okay. Let's go this way and let you answer. All right, and then Danny,
That's probably the last question is, because we have.
This is the last
We
question.
had a couple more announcements, that came in a little bit late.
For that situation, I think that we have to do our best to encourage people to have certain mechanisms in place. If they do face or experience like health problems or health issues, to like we might have to have a power of attorney, like talk about things of that nature, so that they can represent them in those type of situations. Because even families divided on like what should you do and like when your family's in certain conditions. Some people really feel like they should not be in a certain state, and some people like, no, I have faith, let's keep pushing. And same thing with like it could be similar to like a family leaving behind inheritance. Like you should talk about put your family possessions in your will, like put certain mechanisms in place. Like your health is number one before your finances, but a lot of people will put stuff in the will before they talk about their health and things of that nature. So I think put mechanisms is in place.
Okay, we're gonna, Danny, you have two other items?
Yeah, with a couple of more announcements there.
Okay, do you wanna make those announcements now? 'Cause we're,
Yeah, we're getting close. I guess Zeke Luckard, we spoke at club before, he'd like to talk about the coalition to fight for our health and lives. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you want to speak from there? You got that?
Oh,
yeah. Speak if you want me, who you represent? Okay.
Sorry. Hi. My name is Zeke Luger. I'm here today with the Coalition to Protect Our Health and Our Lives. We've been organizing together a long time.
Can't hear you.
Sorry, we've been organizing together a long time through Dang Echo to, end the 24-hour shifts that home attendants are working. They talked 2 months ago at the meeting about that. 24-hour shifts, day, night, no rest, no sleep. It's very bad conditions that destroy our health, and it's bringing down all of our conditions. And today I think we've all been talking about how our city is, it's doing what it wants to do and not being responsible to us. Home attendants led a rally, bring people together a couple weeks ago at City Hall, to take back our city. People are very angry. The City Council Speaker, Adrienne Adams, is running for mayor after how she's hurt us. Adrienne Adams is the one who's keeping the 24-hour workdays going by blocking a bill that would end them, split them 12 and 12 between two workers, as every other city in the world does. And also, Adrienne Adams is also as Speaker of the City Council. The Speaker decides what bills go to the floor and what bills don't, right? So she's been ruling with an iron fist. Also, if you've heard about the city retirees who their unions are trying to take away their and the government are trying to take away their guaranteed fully paid Medicare that they worked so hard for. The retirees put a bill in the city council to protect their Medicare. Speaker Adams blocks the bill. No, you will die in poor health. Also, City of Yes, which is, destroying all of our communities as we speak. What's it called? Of course, it was Mayor Adams's idea, but so many people were against it. The majority of city council members were against it. Speaker Adams made, everyone's like the government makes deals behind the scenes. She's the one making those deals. She made deals with every single council member that she got to vote yes, gave them small exemptions here or there to make one or two people happy while still screwing over the entire city. At this rally 2 weeks ago, early May, immigrant workers, retirees, young people, and over 50 organizations with previously different causes came together from across the city to say Speaker Adams and our current city leadership have failed, and that we demand our new city leadership right Speaker Adams's wrongs. The city has made us into a city of yes for the politicians, where the politicians say yes and we have no say. Instead, we should come together, all of us, and make the politicians say yes to us. So now as primary elections are coming up, we want people and community organizations in all of our 51 council districts across the city to encourage all of the incumbents, all of the candidates for council, mayor, controller, to take up these three very popular demands. End the, end the 24-hour workday. Decent working conditions. Protect our healthcare. Don't take away city retirees' Medicare. To fight against the City of Yes agenda that is, yes to luxury developments, yes to, to rising rents and displacement, rising property taxes, yes to casinos, yes to jails, say no to this agenda, take back our city for ourselves. So some people have mentioned, I'm sorry, I'm wrapping up. Some people have mentioned how Republicans are the minority in New York City, and it's difficult to win as a Republican in this deep blue city over this blue-red barrier. So if you guys want to win, I would say take up the people's demands. People are very angry right now, and all of you candidates here should ride our anger to victory. We should use that so that candidates and electeds are accountable to us, the people. In fact, we met Jim Walden, a candidate for mayor here, right here at the Central Queens Republican Club meeting 2 months ago. And then at the rally, Jim Walden was one of the passionate speakers. Now people across the city know that he stands with us, the people. So we're inviting the Central Queens Republican Club and any other organizations people here are a part of to join this coalition. We're calling ourselves the Coalition to Protect Our Health and Our Lives, and to show our new city leadership, incoming leadership, that we are united and that they have to answer to us.
It's almost 9:30, so. Yeah.
All right, quick announcement, just so you know, I just want to make a quick comment about my man's movement right there. Just so you know, I'm actually aware of that situation. I have a close relationship. I have an interview with Nelson Marr. There's a group called Chinese Staff Workers Association. And I like this guy and I like the organization, but I'm sorry to say that the group has been taken over by DSA types that have prevented me from interacting with the organization. And I'm really sorry to say this, and this guy's never been a problem, but other people, not him, but other people, maybe you don't believe it, I'm telling you right now, I can tell you the people that's standing against the 24-hour workday, I'm for fighting for 24-hour workday, but SEIU is actually for the 24-hour workday, and actually so is another group called New York Downstate Adapt, the largest disabilities advocacy group in the nation. Now I try to put these groups together, they talk about coalition, not saying this guy, I like this guy, but I'm telling you the DSA leadership is involved with a lot of gatekeeping and determine who gets to work on these issues. You ain't gotta believe me, bro. Ask around people that don't know the thing. So I just want to tell you about some things I got coming up. Just so you know, this weekend we're actually right next to Bob Holder's district. I did some petitioning. So my man out here doing that work, getting to know actual voters. And on actually Sunday, I actually have a childhood education town hall. Just so you know, we spend more on childhood education than on police, fire, and prisons combined. The fact of the matter is that they use our love for our children against us, and they rob the crap out of us. Now the thing is that I want to give you guys a really special opportunity. Now the thing is that so many times we have these experts come in and say that they know how to manage our lives. Hell no, okay? The people that's affected don't have no voice in. So if you know a kid who wants to be involved in a town hall on childhood education, I think it could be a very unique and cool opportunity. I don't care how old they are, I care about if they're passionate about the politics, and if they could get involved. We need to give actual people a voice, yeah? The next thing that I got coming up, just so you know, I also have, it's very exciting, the longest wrongfully incarcerated man in New York State history. His name is Otis Johnson, and I just got off the phone with Bob Marin. We're actually setting up for a town hall to come up soon. We're gonna expose a lot of the Democrats' BS. The way that they weaponize the criminal justice system against Trump is the way they weaponize the criminal justice system against a lot of people that have proof of their innocence. And we could actually have a brand new, we know that the most minorities in United States history voted for Republican, and that man was Trump. So the fact of the matter is that we could actually have a transformation in the minority communities and start waking up to the Democrat BS and gatekeeping. Yeah, so that's coming up really soon. I hope you guys can get involved with that. That's gonna go down like probably June 14th, 15th, something like that, all right? Just last thing I want to say is, guys, whether you're Democrat or Republican, there's two parties, but there's one grassroots movement. I hope you look up Queens GOP on Wikipedia and see what it says about Danny Mayo, right? You can do it right now, right? You might think that because we're Democrat, you think that we're a certain way. I'm telling you right now that it said that he fought for transparency, and I brought this up to Nancy out of the Queen's chair, and he doesn't want to make issue of it, and Danny doesn't want to make issue of it. I think they both want to help the Republican Party, so that's cool. But this is a very special club to me, and thank you so much. Once again, it's up to you. Last thing I'm going to say is, look, the professional sports industry, right? Yeah? People say, oh, you know what, these people with power can fix it. You're wrong, yeah? Look, I'm a professional sports athlete. They're all using performance-enhancing drugs. Unless we as a community say, we're not going to accept this, even the people at the top cannot fix it. So it's not just about leadership. They say it's about leadership, but I've been elected before. That's wrong. We need people on the ground, like my man Isaiah Vega, that's going out on the street, talk to actual voters, and that will control the ground and decide what actually goes down, not the figureheads that are controlled by the voters. Really, okay? That's what I got.
Okay, it's 9:32. Let's see. We're going to close the meeting, but before we close, anyone else want to make an announcement?
Daniel, I wanted to say something to the young man.
Okay. Well,
One to everybody. Just 1 minute.
very quick. Go ahead.
Hello? You hear me? Okay. What is your name, sir? What is his name?
Zeke. I'm sorry.
Zeke?
Zeke.
Okay, I wanted to share something with you real quick.
Yeah, please.
What you're fighting as coalitions is something we've been doing since 1982. We have battled, we have won, we have lost. The way to win is people gotta get together. When I have a town hall meeting in the Bronx, I'll have 1,200 people show up. I had another one because they wanted to put a methadone clinic in right across the street from the school. 1,200 people showed up in the rainstorm. So my thing is the coalition's doing it together. Gatekeeping is a no-no because we want to gather everybody and unite everybody together. Just Homes. We're fighting Just Homes right now, Rikers Island's right there, 1900 Seminole. My organization, Mothers Against 1900. We're finding that in the 5 boroughs where they're trying to put Rikers Island inmates into our communities. That's one. The development. You saw the fire in the Bronx. Over 300 people had to evacuate. They're homeless. 2019 Wallace Avenue. That's the building I used to live in. Now I have all those families who are homeless. Affordable housing is not working for them. The Housing Connect is not working for them. The City of Yes is not working for them. They're in shelters. So my concern, they're hardworking people in shelters. So unless we mobilize and make sure that they know that we have new people running for office, for different positions, it is up to you. Like I said before, the reason this continues to happen is because good people sit down and do nothing about it. Are you going to do something about it?
Thank you very much, Irene. Okay. So I have a motion it's 9:35, Isaiah, second by Jim. All in favor says aye. Aye. And also opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned at 9:36.
Thank you.